Hello and welcome to High Desert Voices. I'm Bri Castellini, and today we're doing a special Whatcha Readin episode with Melody Jones and Mr. Jim Van Pelt. Hello, welcome. Thanks for joining me today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
How's everybody doing?
Excellent.
Reading good stuff? Excited by what you're reading?
Of course.
Giving us a...
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Always.
Okay. Well, Melody, I'm going to start with you because before we started recording, you mentioned that the books that you actively are reading right now are a little bit off type for you. So
Yes.
let's pick one. What you reading, Melody?
I know. I was feeling weird. I'm like, oh my, I have to bring weird stuff. I'm reading The Wonder Paradox, Embracing the Weirdness of Existence and the Poetry of Our Lives by Jennifer Michael Hecht.
Okay. Where did you get this recommendation?
I got this from Lisa Connors, who runs Poetry Night
Okay.
at the library on the second Wednesday of every month, 6 to 7:45. Can you tell what I do outside of here? Okay.
It was so tight. It was so
Thank
good. We love this
you.
for this.
Thank
So how are you liking it so far?
You know, I do like it. I wouldn't call it a quick read.
Okay.
Yeah, not a
Little
quick
dense?
read. It's a tough one, and she's very thoughtful. The woman who wrote this brings in so much information from so many different sources that you really have to pause. I haven't read the whole thing still, and I've had this for 9 months probably.
Oh, wow.
Probably
So
gave
is
it to
it
me a
a
long time ago.
craft book?
Yeah.
Sell us on this book.
I know. Let me look at something here because here's what she says. Where do we find magic, peace, connection? We have calendars to mark time, communal spaces to bring us together, bells to signal hours of contemplation. Mm-hmm. See how she writes? These rhymes and structures of society were once all set by religion. Now, for many, religion no longer runs the show. So how do we celebrate milestones, find rules to guide us, figure out which texts can focus our attention but still offer space for inquiry, communion, and the chance to dwell for a dazzling instant on what can't be said?
Okay. So is this like self-help? Is it a craft book?
Perhaps that's not craft as
Okay.
much as it's probably more on philosophy, self-help side.
Okay. Interesting.
Which is why I'm like, oh my gosh, this is pretty heavy stuff. But it's basically what I like about it is she divided it up into sort of categories. So if you want to, there's lots of rituals around things like weddings.
Sure.
Okay, death, birth, changes like that.
Mm-hmm.
Emotional states, if you're dealing with grief and so forth, there's rituals on the religious side of things. This isn't a book about religion, but she brings in the world's religions. Mm-hmm. She will bring in Buddhism and Islam and some other thing, Christian, all the stuff. But then she talks about what can we do in the secular world to bring ourselves comfort, and poetry is one of those things.
Sure.
And so it's a pretty deep book. And I find myself flipping through different sections without reading thoroughly from section to section. But it lends itself to that.
For sure, yeah. I mean, it's philosophy. Philosophy's kind of meant to be taken where you're at.
Taken where you're at. And she'll put in different poems that speak to her. It could be, she brings in ones I don't know, but all of these bring a certain comfort to her personally or to a friend of hers. She has people that'll say, this is the poem that I've used to bring myself comfort and wisdom in these times of trouble because I am no longer a person that adheres to, whatever religion I was raised in. So I'm not here to talk religion. It's not about that. It's more about the poetry of our lives and finding comfort in words in a different way, words and structure and ritual in a different way.
That's really cool.
It is.
I love that. Have you heard of the Wonder Paradox, Jim?
I think I heard at the same time you did. She'd mentioned it at that workshop or presentation she gave a month ago. That title, that might have been in the bags of books.
She probably did mention this. She gave this to me. This is a 2025 mention to me. But yeah, Lisa has talked about it since then.
Yeah.
So
it sounded familiar when you
she
said the title.
she just wrote a blog for us for the Western Colorado Writers Forum that's about her favorite books, and it's actually, I saw that, I'm like, oh, it's listed in there too. But I have an idea if I can throw it out there. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to throw together some kind of a class or a workshop where we create our own book of wisdom and comfort, and that's what I'm going to call it, the Book of Wisdom and Comfort, wherein we may pull in poetry or other writings that bring us comfort, and we're going to create our own as well, and we're going to put together our own sort of book of prayer, which is the common way to say it, but that won't be what it is, but it's going to be a similar function. And I thought, oh my gosh, that would be a wonderful, very different type of session we can pull together for people to create their own book of
Almost like a
wisdom and
zine
comfort.
making class, but
Kind of like that, but
more
a little more,
philosophical.
more formal. We do some writing of our own and so forth, and we'll put together our own book, and that's my idea. So
That's fun.
watch for that. I'm going to put that
Wow,
together.
look at that. You
Yeah.
heard it here first, folks.
I tell you, heard it here first.
This is how we see. This is how the mind works. We love to see it. Well,
Thank you. That's how my mind works. What can we do to put it in the world? That's my philosophy. There you go.
I love that. No, making it practical. Jim, what you reading? Give us a book.
Normally, I would bring a science fiction or a fantasy title or a book about writing or teaching to something like this, but I play golf since I retired.
Okay.
I became a cliche. So, one of the other
way.
golfers recommended a book by Rick Riley, the sports writer, which was about President Trump's golf game. And it's called Commander in Cheat, How Golf Explains Trump.
Interesting.
And
Wow.
Riley is a phenomenal storyteller, and he gets people to tell him stories. And nothing in the book has been contradicted by Trump since it came out. The guy is a horrible cheater, like constant cheater. No one in golf believes that he has won any of the tournaments that he says that he has won.
Oh, has he said he's won tournaments?
yeah.
I guess I shouldn't be surprised by that, but I'm also definitely not surprised that it's not true.
Can I interject with you? What? Okay, go.
He's claimed that he's won his club championship multiple years in a row,
Fascinating.
including a year when he didn't play.
How sad. Just how sad of a person do you have to be to lie about something like that?
He sent in a score that he'd done a couple days earlier. Golfers, everything that they talk about with golf, about what Trump does, horrifies golfers. So, at any rate, he's just entertaining.
Sure.
And I finished that book, and I started his next book, which is called So Help Me Golf, which is about
I'm
his
sensing a theme.
life
Love it.
in golf. It's kind of autobiographical. There's chapters in there about how he's introduced to golf, and although he's frequently funny, he's very funny all the time. He had a pretty rough upbringing and an abusive dad, and his dad was a golfer, and he started off hating golf because his dad liked golf. And I find it really entertaining, plus it comes in small chunks because they're all anecdotal.
Oh, sure.
And I can read to the end of this one piece and then, put the book down for a bit and not lose the train of thought. So that's where I am now. I brought in some other titles that are not a golf or political
Okay.
that I can talk about if you want to get on to those.
Okay. Well, I'll come back to you because I apparently I'm going to be our representative for science fiction fantasy for the minute.
Oh, who
so
knew?
last night I finished Catabasis by R.F. Kuang. Have either of you read that one?
No.
Have you read it?
It's in my
It's in your
TBR.
TBR.
I think I've seen the title, though. I feel like I have.
It made a big.
Okay.
I mean, all of R.F. Kuang's books kind of like make a splash. This was the first one of hers that I read. I tried to read Yellowface, and I can appreciate what it is, and I was like, I can't do this to myself. I appreciate what this is. I'm so glad it exists. I need it to exist kind of over in the other room. But I read Catabasis, finished it last night. Really, really enjoyed it. Basically, the premise is two graduate students whose terrible advisor just died and is in hell, and they travel to hell using the philosophy and teachings of real trips to hell, like Dante and et cetera, to rescue him so that they can get on with their graduate school lives and their postdoctorates and stuff. So that's kind of the high level thing, is two grad students travel to hell to rescue their dead advisor. But obviously it's about a lot more of that. The way that I described it to my husband last night was it's a book about a tireless adventure, about how maybe the best adventure is sitting still with somebody that you love, which I thought was really, really a cool exploration within this book. It's like an adventure book that's like, what if we could stop having adventures for a little bit? Maybe that would be good for us, in fact. And I thought that was really, really interesting. So I enjoyed her writing a lot. Definitely going to have to explore more of it. Also, I was on a Dante kick recently, so getting to see that brought in. There's a lot of, it's a very dense book, certainly. And my impression is that that's kind of her thing as a writer. She's a very, she has several degrees herself. She's currently in a PhD program for something else. So she's clearly in the school mindset, very well researched. So to a certain degree, there was some passages that I was like, all right, let's get past the logic exploration. What is the thing that's happening? But I really enjoyed it. So highly recommend if you like kind of fantasy, if you like explorations of the sort of existential horror of being in school. I really enjoyed it.
Wow.
Reminded me in both good and bad ways of my own grad school experience. But I did not have to go to hell. So, I'm winning on that count.
Yay.
All right, Melody, I know you brought another book. So what else you reading?
Under the title of Who Am I, I've got this, philosophy book we just talked about. And I thought, well, I will bring the other one. It's called Fast Like a Girl, and I mean fasting. Intermittent fasting is a big deal right now.
Yeah.
Okay, and so this is something I've been doing, and there's a certain healing power and lots of research on fasting and what it can do for the human body. If you want to get rid of some broken cells and so forth, you've got to stop eating every minute. And I said, what? Do you know me? Stop eating every minute. What the heck? Anyway.
Author is, really quick.
Dr. Mindy Pelz. But it doesn't have a T in it, P-E-L-Z.
Okay, great.
So sorry, yeah, Fast Like a Girl. And so this particular doctor, what she's done differently is she has researched how fasting affects women and their own biology and physiology, because as we know, most medical research to date has been all on the males, the men. It's all the male biology. And the reason was, well, there's too many hormones. We don't want to study women. That's why you should, people.
Yeah.
Excuse yourself. Excuse me. So that's what she's done, is she's done lots of research on how fasting can best suit the females and their female physiology, and the best way to work within, I hate to say, so sorry, the cycle of being a female. That's part of it, but also on my end of it, which is as we've talked about, the menopausal side. Woohoo, I just aged myself for eternity here on this podcast. That's how old I am. But she does touch on that as well, as how fasting can help the female physiology function better.
That's really interesting.
It is actually interesting.
So intermittent fasting is where you eat a big meal and then kind of don't eat, maybe snack throughout the day, and then eat another big meal at the end of the day, where it's you don't really have a lunch.
It's a little different here. In its simplest terms, you're going to establish a number of hours within which you eat.
Got it.
Okay, so a common one is 16-8. You might eat within an 8-hour frame and you don't eat for 16 hours. For better benefit, I can tell you that's okay. But for better benefit, you would eat within 6 hours and fast for 18. Because if you hit 16 hours, from 16 to 18, your body is moving into a certain type of burning of your fat, the actual fat that you have accumulated, and you're going to start burning ketones and stuff, and your brain really benefits from that type of energy on top of the energy you get from foods.
Sure.
And sugars and things that your body normally burns down. So it's best to do that. So it's eating within a window of time, and you get to figure out, because here's what I had to do. Is it more important to start my day with the coffee I think I have to have, or end my day with the snacks I think I have to have? Because that's 12 hours. So that doesn't fall within the 6 hours I'm trying to shoot for. So I had to figure, I defaulted to the coffee. That's what I ended up doing, which means my 6 hours might start at 7.
Interesting.
Which puts me pretty early in the day, okay, that I end to speed. But I also, one of my issues in life is I'm a bigger person, and, my knees are telling me all about it, and they think they have an opinion. Like, excuse me, shut up. And they won't shut up. And so, I should probably drop a few pounds. And so I did. So 24 pounds later on intermittent fasting, and there's lots of other things I can tell you, but basically that's it.
Okay.
And
really
her book is related just to females, and I think it's a fascinating read, and it was very helpful.
Cool. Jim, any thoughts?
Well, being of a certain age,
yes.
I get hit with, as most people do, these come-ons for different health regimens, and intermittent fasting is one that I see quite often. And I tried it forgetting that I'm hypoglycemic.
Yeah, that maybe changes a couple of things about that.
I can't go an 8-hour window where I get to eat, or a 6-hour window, because my body collapses. So can't do it.
That would be
really
tougher for you.
Bad headaches and stuff. I can't do it.
Yes, if you have a health condition, I would say you've got to maybe check with a doctor on that first and just see what that might do for you. One of the tricks in intermittent fasting that we have to remember is to eat a higher protein, higher fat diet, so that you don't have crashes and so forth. So there are some things you can tweak. And that being said, that doesn't mean that would work for whatever's happening for you, but that is one way to be conscious of it, is to cut, again, you cut the simple sugars and so forth, because that what crashes you down. In order to make it on the fasting side of your 6-hour eating window, ending with a meal that's higher in protein and good fats is going to carry you through
much
your
further.
18 hours. Yeah.
That makes sense.
It's an amazing
Well, it's like
thing.
a good breakfast. If I have protein with breakfast, it carries me much farther into the day than, say, a cereal breakfast.
Exactly. That's not the thing to eat is cereal. So there's some tricks to the trade on if you're going to fast, and it's not for everybody. So I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah. Cool. I was joking, and then that was a really good contribution. So, hey, that's why we have multiple perspectives here. So what else you reading, Jim?
Well, good. I get to talk about a science fiction or fantasy title. I really like Naomi Novik. You know his name?
People have been recommending her a lot recently. She does YA, is that correct?
Well, no, yes. I mean,
that's also the answer I've gotten from people. So continue.
Yes.
Her first series, their big series, was about. It was an alternate history, looking at 18th century England. Everything's the same except with dragons.
Sure.
So, of course, if you're in 18th century England and you're a naval power and a colonial power, you have dragons as weapons. They're ranged weapons, but so do your enemies. So very interesting about taking care of dragons and how these battles might go. Anyway, fascinating and fun. And there are several books in this series, and I liked all of them, and I like her voice.
What's that series called? 'Cause I'm thinking of Deadly Education is the one that I keep getting recommended.
Well, that's the one I'm going to go to next.
Oh, great. Okay.
That's the one I'm reading now. I don't remember it, but if you look her up, it's going to
Naomi
be all over
Novik.
the place. No, yes, it's Novik. I'm reading The Last Graduate right now, which is a part of her Deadly Education series, which I would describe as Harry Potter and Hogwarts, except on steroids
Okay.
and high stakes.
Okay.
So the school that these kids are going to, many of them don't survive it. They don't. They're dealing with really powerful forces. The buildings, the institution, magic users draw magic to them. So you get all of these people that are learning magic. It means all this bad mojo is coming their way too. So kid can go to the bathroom, never come back out.
Wow.
Just disappeared, or get sucked down a floor grate, or something like this.
You know.
But I love how she writes. I love her main character. There's a section that I was reading, and I just goes, oh, this is so good, because it's the logic of magic systems. Like, their library is uncatalogued. The book you need will find you. So you go into their library and you go find your book, but in that library are some very special books, really like filled with knowledge that a magic user would want, but you can't find them. They find you.
Sure.
But if you find one, you got to take care of it. So our character finds this book, and there's a fair section about her building an appropriate box that's fancy enough and built with enough love and care that the book won't decide to abandon her. And I just thought, that's my relationship with books. I want,
So they don't abandon you.
well, they deserve respect.
Yes, I like that.
I love a really, really good book. I have a friend who collects folio editions of books and limited printing of books. He showed me his multiple $1,000 copy of Alice in Wonderland.
Oh, wow.
And it's not like it's because it's first printing and sold. It's because it is so beautifully imprinted, like covered. I didn't want to touch any of the books. He says, here, open it up. He says, not unless you give me some white linen gloves. I'm not going to touch this book. He has this room in his house that are filled with these. Every book is in a jacket. They have tip-in color plates.
Wow.
Just, if you like books as objects,
Sure.
then you would like this guy. And
Okay.
he's single. I'm telling you, you just need to bring the right literary woman here on a date, and you will be dating more often. Because
Dating advice. That's right.
well, it's the
the Beauty and the
cartoon
Beast
about
effect.
Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking too.
She says, "So you're gonna entrap me in this library forever?"
Oh no.
Oh,
How
heavens.
terrible.
Yeah. So, how did we get there from Naomi Novik?
The
because
book
of
box.
The book box. So I highly recommend her. She just can write the heck out of any scene, and it's page turning. And I'm a very critical audience.
Most writers are.
Well, yeah, and I think
And
as
teachers.
teachers, and as you get older and you've read a lot, and so loving everything I read when I was 14
Sure.
has transformed into. It's real hard for me to get deep and invested in a book unless it's doing some really good stuff. It's easy to abandon. I did judging for the Philip K. Dick Award, and what that meant was there were dozens of books arriving at my house every couple weeks. I mean, 4 or 5 boxes or books in a box. At any rate, I was talking to somebody who had been doing this for a long time. And I said, well, how do you keep up with the reading? And they said, well, you don't have to read them all. You read until you know this is not a winner.
Yeah.
You might even like it, but if you can say this is not, I've got other books that are better than this, stop reading. And I was horrified by that because I would want my book to be read cover to cover. But that, I think, started me on this. I don't have to finish a book.
Yeah.
If I'm not really enjoying it, go on. And I hate that about myself because I used to love pick up a book and just read straight through and the book's done. I would read, well, they were smaller books, but, elementary school and junior high, I could finish a couple books a day. Very fast reader. And I've changed. So when I recommend Naomi Novik, I'm saying this is a really well-written book that's doing original things in very competent, artful ways.
Okay, cool. Yeah, people have been mentioning her a lot recently to me, but now you've fully sold me, I think. And what you just said really resonates with me. So I kind of took I went to screenwriting for a while, so I kind of took a break from like reading books very hardcore, and then in 2022 came back with a vengeance. And that first year back in books, I had like 30 books that I said, these are 5-star books. These are the best books I've ever read. And then the year after that, I had maybe 15 5-star books. And like it's definitely been not because I am enjoying books any less, but because I have more to compare them to now. And so it certainly is harder to hit those high highs. And sometimes I'm like, am I being too critical on a book? Am I just not enjoying it the same way? Like there's something wrong with me. And then I'll read a book that's a 5-star book for me. And I think, no, this is just special. Because obviously when you come back to books and you're like finding all the best ones, you're getting the best recommendations right away. And then you don't have to dig as far to get them. But I used up all of those. And so now I have to search a little harder, but it doesn't make it any less special. And it doesn't mean that I'm not enjoying these books. I wouldn't have considered Calabasas a 5-star book for the record, but I still really enjoyed it. And it doesn't lessen my enjoyment, but it does make those high highs even more special. So
it's harder to find a life-changing book when you've read your life-changing books already, right? So
Exactly.
something that comes along late, and you just go, "Wow, this is so good." Mostly, I spend my time envying all the people who get to read the books that I loved
for the first
the
time.
first time.
Yeah, 100%.
And that's great. But I miss the reader that I was when I'd go visit my grandparents, and my grandma and grandpa had nothing in the house for me, and nobody I knew in the neighborhood, and I couldn't go anywhere, but I didn't care. I just read.
Yeah.
And I'd go down into their cellar where it was cool. I'd lay on top of their freezer where it was cooler. It was Ohio summers, so it was terrible. And I would just read and read and read. And I loved it. I just get lost in a book. When I was in junior high, I was in the band, and I played the flute. When you play the flute in a junior high band, you often spend more time in the songs counting out your rests than actually playing. Because mostly they played marching music. And even when the flutes did play, 2 trumpets and a drum could drown out the whole section.
Sure.
So I would read during rests. I would open up a book and just start reading. And one time the band director saw me, and he quieted the band. I didn't know how directors do that, but everybody quit playing. Well, I was just still counting bars to myself. And, I'm going here. And then I look up, and nobody's playing, and everybody's just looking at me. And the director said, welcome back, Jim. And we took off again.
That's funny. I was just going to say I miss standardized testing days because I was a very fast test taker. I don't know if you remember this about me. I was a very fast test taker, and that meant I could finish the test really quickly, and then I had like 2 hours where I could just read a book. It was awesome. I just got to read in the middle of my day. Yeah. And that is something that I kind of miss because there's no more times of my day where I'm like, well, I'm done. It's like, no, I'm an adult. I have things to clean. Yes. I have things to organize. I have jobs to apply to. It's not the same. So I feel similarly, but hey, when you find something special, it matters. So.
There are still readers like that in the schools. I know that there are people complaining about students today and saying, well, when I was a kid, yes, I don't believe that for a second. We've always been an odd lot, right? The people that would do exactly what you did, bring a book to a standardized test and like that you've got 45 minutes and everybody else is done. Always have a book with you. Those kids are still out there, and those adults are still out there too. Thank goodness.
Yeah, thank goodness. And hopefully they're getting some good recommendations from us today. I was going to say my other recommendation is also actually a fantasy book, and it is Hemlock and Silver by T. Kingfisher. Have you read any T. Kingfisher?
I have.
I feel like I have.
I'd never read them before. So her, them, I think it's a she. Anyways, T. Kingfisher, this is my first book. My mom was reading it and was like, I think you'd like this author. And like the first line of the book is something about like, I had just taken poison when the king told me he murdered his wife or something to that effect.
Perfect.
Like the first line of this book. And I was like, yeah, you're right. I do want to read this. So it's a book. It's like a fantasy historical about a healer, quote unquote, but really she's just someone who's fascinated by poisons and antidotes. And the king, it's a retelling-ish, adaptation-ish of Snow White. And the king's daughter, Snow, he fears she's being poisoned, but nobody can figure out what kind of poison it is. So he goes to the poison lady and is like, figure out what's going on with my daughter. And then it turns out it's a lot more complicated than just poison. But it was a very, very cool book. They really freaked me out. It's honestly like a pretty good horror book for being a sort of very funny fantasy book. Like there were segments that I was reading and I was like, I shouldn't be reading this at 10 o'clock at night. This is actually kind of like legit freaking me out.
That good, huh?
I was really impressed with it because it's
Yeah.
sometimes hard to, and we'll talk to Michael Pico later about it, but like I find it hard sometimes in prose to get scared. Like movies are easy, right? Because you have a full, you have the music and the sound design and like the
scare
visuals,
moments,
right? But in books, it's like you have to kind of scare yourself in some ways, which is, if the writing isn't there to support it, you're kind of just like, oh, I guess that would suck for them. But I thought T. Kingfisher did a really good job with this book. We're making it like legitimately sort of terrifying and tense, even for like a very fast reader like me who sometimes can glaze past scary things. I'm like, oh, I'm sure that sucks for them. But no, I thought she did a really good job. I really enjoyed it. And it's a standalone, so you don't have to invest in a whole series if you're just curious about this person's vibe. Hemlock and Silver.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Make sure you ask Michael that question.
I'm going to.
Let's see what he says. Well, and I don't read that much fantasy, but there is a series I dearly love called The Druid Chronicles.
Druid Chronicles.
Druid, and I feel like the last name of the author is Herne. I hope I'm right about that. We might have to look it up. The Druid Chronicles. It really captured my imagination. The Druid lives here contemporarily.
Okay.
If that's a word? Rarely, contemporarily. So he's a druid. He's like, I don't know, 2,000 years old or something like that. But the author is so good about weaving in all these other mythologies and worlds. So, it will be, so the Greek mythology will bring in, he'll bring that in and the druid has to travel to that world. And there's always different ways to get to that world. And then he has to deal with that world. And he brings in, Santa Claus makes a turn in there, and Medusa is in there, and all the usual ones that you can think of. But every type of different mythology or world you can think of, this author brings in, and he does it masterfully. And it really caught my attention, and I love it. And so the druid has to, navigate his way to the place, wherever that is, get some things done, and come back. Vampires are around, werewolves are, so that mythology is there. You name it, the world is there. It's really well done. I enjoyed it tremendously.
Very cool. I'll have to check that out. All right. Well, I think that's good for now. We could talk for hours about what we're reading. So probably we'll be back in a couple of weeks. But thanks so much. Anything either of you want to plug or talk about or share at the end of this for things that you're doing, places people can follow you, things that you just recommend generally? I'm giving you a final beat.
Yes, you are. Well, I have a couple of websites, melodyjonesauthor.com. I just do different things on there. And then I have journalingwithmelody.com coming to you live and in color, I guess, soon.
Great.
So I did different things there.
Cool.
All right.
Very cool.
Let me see. I have a story in the current Asimovs, which I think is available at our Barnes & Noble. At least it was when I was in there a week ago.
Great. What's
It's
the title?
April issue. It's called
Okay.
Her Fierce Need.
Okay.
And I liked it. I liked writing it quite a bit. I was very pleased that they picked up the story. I always have something coming out somewhere. I had a story in Analog last issue. But the problem with those is you can't find them, right, once they're not in the bookstore. And
Sure.
you can look for them electronically.
Okay. Cool. Good to know. All right. Thanks so much for joining us. Everybody, let us know on our social. What are you reading right now? We'd love to hear it. And if you've read anything that we mentioned today, we'd love to hear your thoughts on that as well. Thanks so much for listening to Heiser's Voices. I've been Bri Castellini. See you next time.
See you. Thank you.
Thank you.
High Desert Voices is the official podcast of the Western Colorado Writers Forum, a nonprofit organization based in Grand Junction, Colorado. The forum's mission is to foster a rich and diverse writing community on Colorado's western slope that invites participation from diverse cultures, customs, and life experiences. The forum hosts Writers' Night presentations at the Grand Junction Center for the Arts on the first Tuesday of every month, where local and national writers give presentations on their craft. Sign up for the forum's free newsletter and listen to all our podcast episodes for free at westerncoloradowriters.org.